The program you're about to see is made possible through the financial support of people like you. We hope you'll join the thousands of people who make our programming possible. Become an In the Life member by clicking on the Donate Now button on our website.
Your humor, your sense of humor, and your sardonic...
In our first conversation, director, author, and star of stage and screen, Kathleen Turner, sits down with legendary playwright Edward Albee.
So you've had some serious reactions and to a lot of your work. Some good and some not.
Some good and some pretty rotten, too.
Yeah. I was thinking specifically about the Pulitzer Prize for Virginia Woolf.
Which they took away.
Which they took away.
Yeah. But that was okay. You know, I got more mileage out of having that prize taken away than I would have had if I just left it with me, yeah.
Well, you're not advocating bad publicity is better than none?
Of course.
What other pieces have suffered in that way?
Well, after I wrote Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which got, you know, eventually a lot of good. Some of the first reviews from those daily newspapers that don't exist anymore, like the Mirror and those things, they were pretty bad, you know, plays that should be seen only by dirty-minded women, or somebody else called it a garbage dump.
Now, there have been questions throughout the history of Virginia Woolf and others that it was originally based on homosexual partners.
That meant to be a play about two gay couples.
Yes, and I can remember what you said to me about it, but...
Well, that was so silly, you know. I'm quite capable of writing a play about gay people if I want to.
Sure.
I've done it. But those two were two straight couples. It was nonsense. Everybody knew I was gay, and so obviously Albee's gay, therefore he must be disguising
yes.
What he's doing.
Right, some kind of subversive message.
But that was, there were a couple of critics.
So how has it changed now?
There were a couple of critics who were very famous for their homophobia.
Yeah.
And they were really slamming at a lot of us. But then the reviews got okay, and we had a decent run with that play. But, so you write Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. You know what you're expected to write next? Son of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Of course.
Or, you know, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf 2. And then I had 3 absolute commercial disasters. I did an adaptation of James Purdy's wonderful novel, Malcolm, which was greatly admired by 2 people, James Purdy and me, and that was just about it. I wrote a play about theater journalism and critics called The Man Who Had 3 Arms.
Yeah.
And they didn't like that very much either.
What a surprise.
What a surprise. And another one that got blasted. And all of a sudden, I couldn't get a production in New York.
Yeah.
Very interesting. About, 15 years after Virginia Woolf, I couldn't get a production in New York. I was having productions in Europe all the time.
Sure.
And around the country, but I was totally persona non grata in New York because I didn't write Son of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, basically. But then things started to turn around again, and now for a little while they're being nice to me. Don't know why.
They're being lovely to you, Edward.
Yeah, I know.
Must be your age.
It probably is, yeah. Be nice to the old guy, right.
Yeah, right. Where do you get your inspiration, sir?
I usually say Schenectady.
We're going to let that one go.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm a writer, therefore I write. I'm a playwright, therefore I write plays. If you write plays, you're supposed to have ideas for plays. I discover every 6 months or so that I'm thinking about a play that I plan to write. I don't know much about it, and I leave it alone.
We've always said your characters find their own words in some ways.
Of course. I have to know the characters so well that I can convince myself that they are talking. I will go to a string quartet and listen to some Beethoven or something, and I will start hearing lines from this play that I want to write.
That's something that always fascinated me. That right at the beginning of rehearsals for Virginia Woolf, you had said that you had wanted to be a composer. And so you heard scenes and as movements, as andante or lento or, all this sort of stuff. And that, in fact, you could close your eyes and listen to how the play went and know if it was on track, if it was right.
Exactly.
If the passage was in tune or on beat.
A play is 3 things. It's a piece of literature. It is also a scene, a visual experience.
Yes.
And it's also a heard experience.
Oh, indeed.
And so A playwright notates exactly, uses punctuation exactly the way a composer notates.
What about all the changes you've seen in the New York theatrical scene over the years? God, don't you think there have been... It's a completely different atmosphere.
Of course, a totally different atmosphere. That awful thing called commerce is so completely taken over. The problem about live theater is it costs so damn much to put on. So what's happening is we're not getting the complexity of the audience that we really need.
No, not at all.
We're getting rich people. And most people aren't writing specifically or only for that audience.
No, they're writing to be produced.
Yeah, but here's the problem. More and more young playwrights are being said, we're going to have a tryout, or we're going to try out your play. We're going to have a reading of your play. And then we'll tell you what we want you to do with it. You know, if it's a tough play, we'll ask you to soften it a little bit.
Oh, I know that.
You know, take down all the rough edges so it can't hurt anybody.
Yeah, could you be just as awful and as wicked and nice?
And we love it at its complete length, but don't you think it should be a half hour shorter and stuff like that?
Yes, people need to get home.
And the problem is, it's tougher and tougher for young writers to get their work done, and more of them are being asked to compromise, even before the fact.
More commercial.
Yeah, of course. Safer, easier. An audience that goes to the theater for escapism is a different audience than one that goes to engage in thinking about stuff.
So why don't you write more escapism?
Because I don't know how to do it.
I know! Isn't that great?
You know, the only reason half of us don't sell out is because we don't know how.
Agreed.
So what are you doing next?
Well, I wouldn't mind a comedy. Do you know, I mean...
You just did one. It was called Virginia Woolf.
I did, but everybody's been after me for Sweet Bird of Youth. Now, frankly, I don't need two such women back to back.
No.
I'd really like a break in between those two.
I think so.
So I think that's what I'm looking for now. There are a couple of new pieces which I'm finding very interesting, but they need work. So whether we can get the work done in time or not...
Well, the right stuff will come along. It always does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit, but...
30 years?
You get it.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks you, honey.